welcome one and all. It still seems surreal to me that Nintendo, the company which once said it would never ever have Night Trap on one of its systems, now has so many horror games to choose from on its current platform. But it does. So I thought I'd put together a nice little list of some of my favourite horror games on the Nintendo Switch. And we're kicking things off with the Coma 2 Vicious Sister. It's a 2D Korean horror game, and absolutely brilliant. It expertly crafts a really creepy atmosphere. It helps that your character cannot fight. Your only options are to hide and avoid or run and hope you can get away. That's it. You're exploring this really creepy underworld, different dimension as you go through to find out, first of all, what's happening while you're there, and of course, how to survive and escape, with some really cool, creepy characters along the way. It's definitely a little bit quirky, this one. Thoroughly good fun. I strongly recommend it. It's very strong in story, simple gameplay, but brilliantly done. Absolutely love this game, and it's likely, hopefully, one you've not played. You can regularly pick this up on sale on the eShop for just a few pounds, and it's worth every penny. As this is the second one, there is also the first game there, which I've actually only just started. That's why I'm putting this one on the list, because it's the one I've played through. And there's a new one that's just come out as well. So, if you find yourself really enjoying the horror world of the Coma, well, there's more to choose from once you finish this one. And if the gameplay of having no combat options, so you just have to run and hide from an all-powerful enemy, sounds familiar, then it's probably because you've at least heard of, if not played, Alien Isolation. By far, to me at least, the best game in the Alien franchise since the 16-bit days of the Mega Drive. This is a really good game. Got some jump scares in there, it's got the atmosphere, and the fact that you know you're being hunted by this supremely powerful creature that just wants to kill you really creates a great atmosphere. Looks fantastic graphically as well. I think this has got everything in it a horror enthusiast could possibly want, and indeed a fan of the Alien films. And how can I mention horror without coming to the Resident Evil franchise? I'm showing you the trailer here for Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2. The reason being, Resident Evil Revelations 2, I hadn't actually played until I got my Switch. I played the first one on the 3DS, although it did come to home consoles as well. But now you've got the second one here, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing through it, because that's one of the very few games I hadn't gotten to. However, I'm not just talking about Resident Evil Revelations here. There's also 6, 5, 4, not the remaster, but I think it's like the HD version that came out a few years earlier, and some others as well. So if you are a fan of Resident Evil, you can play an awful lot of the games. Just stay away from 7, Biohazard, and 8, Village, because they're the cloud-based versions and they just don't run very well. Apart from that, all the others you download straight to your Switch, and they work a treat. Knock yourself out, Resident Evil fans. You've got plenty of choices. I briefly mentioned Night Trap earlier. If you're not familiar, it's a game that you play basically by switching through different CCTV cameras to watch what's going on, and there's other things you can interact with in the environment. Well, this game plays a little bit like it. It's got to have been inspired by that sort of gameplay, surely. Five Nights at Freddy's places you in the titular, abandoned, once-themed restaurant loved by children, now terrifying adults, and you're trying to avoid the evil animatronics which are out for blood. That's the basic overall of the plot. I won't give you any more spoilers, other than the fact it just works well. As you can see, you start off just investigating strange noises and see what's going on. The tension builds, the atmosphere gets definitely more creepy, there's some jump scares, there's all sorts. Really good, fun little game. Honestly, I think you'll enjoy this one, but just do look out for those jump scares. I've warned you. Okay, I had to put it on here. I couldn't not. I know it's not scary, but sometimes you don't want to be scared out your wits. So Luigi's Mansion 3 is well, it's not really a horror game, but you can see where it comes from. It's a little bit Ghostbusters and just a little bit Nintendo brilliance. Definitely family friendly, so it's one you can play with the kids around or get them to play themselves. You go around as Luigi. You've got the vacuum cleaner, I can't remember the name of, something like a Ghost-O-Matic, but either way, it captures the ghosts for you, a la Ghostbusters, and plenty of environmental puzzles to solve. I actually really enjoyed this. It's one of my favourite Nintendo own brand games that's out on the Switch right now. Yes, I know Zelda is fantastic, so is Mario, especially Mario Odyssey, but Luigi's Mansion is absolutely fantastic fun, and it is so clever with the mechanics. As you can see here, you have Gooigi, who is Luigi out of goo that you can control, which helps you go to different locales, and it adds yet another layer to those brain-tickling puzzles. Honestly, I cannot infuse enough about this game. I absolutely love it. It is just so cleverly, brilliantly done. If you haven't played it yet, please do give it a go. They've also remastered the second one, but out of the two, I think this is definitely the best so far. Judge for yourself, let me know what you think. I love this game. It's just good fun for everyone. Fatal Frame, Maiden of Blackwater. This is the 5th entry in the Fatal Frame series. Don't worry if you've not played any of the others, it doesn't matter, you'll enjoy this just as much as if you had. Really good, interesting game. Japanese, as you can tell, of course, from the character models, although obviously the voiceovers and stuff have been done in English for us. And it's all based around exploring this abandoned location with a camera obscura. You take a picture of the ghosts, they leave you alone and don't take you out. That's the basic crux of it. This game originally launched on the Wii U. Then again, so did Breath of the Wild, and that worked out well, and there's no reason this won't either. A lot of the game is based upon exploration, puzzle solving, and uh-oh, what's behind me? Is it gonna kill me? Which is exactly what you want from a horror game. Nice, quirky story. I think this game has been done well from start to finish. There's just nothing bad about it. From the graphics, storytelling, game mechanics, everything just works really well. It is very, very cheap on the eShop when it's on sale, so probably do wait until it goes on sale, just save yourself a few quid. If you've played a lot of horror games and you want something familiar, yet just different enough to stand out from the crowd, this could be the game you're looking for. One thing I don't think there's enough of with horror games are games that let you be the monster. Well, this game fixes that problem. It is a Carrion. I hope I'm saying that right. You are an alien blob. You've got tentacles, you crawl around, it's Metroidvania style in the game, and you eat people. The more people you eat, the bigger you get. Plenty of environmental puzzles, and it is just really good fun, especially when you've eaten plenty of people so you get big, being this big, overpowered, tentacled blob and taking out a load of good guys. Definitely something a little bit different, out there for horror fans, Metroidvania fans, or just game fans, and it's very cheap when it goes on sale, so don't pay full price. Signalis. Inspired by the old school Resident Evil games, I don't know, there's quite a few of them out there like that, but this is a good one. This is top down, sort of 2.5D, and it's labelled as a shooter. However, it is a survival horror, so you cannot just go firing bullets willy-nilly. That's a quick way to die. Resource management is a big part of this game. You've only got 6 item slots, and that includes the key items for the puzzle solving. So inventory management is a huge part of the gameplay. So as you can see here in the trailer, be precise with your shots, you cannot afford to miss. And of course, exploration, as is quite standard for a survival horror game. I know there's an awful lot of Resident Evil inspired games out there. I do think this is one of the better ones. However, if you want to know what I think the best one is, that's coming up next. Heaven's Dust 2. And no, you don't need to play the first one to enjoy the second one. I'm recommending the second one just because I think it's better, quite frankly. However, there's nothing wrong with the first one, so I'll leave it up to your very good selves to decide what order you want to play them in. Everything I said about Signalis is true. I just think this is done ever so well. First of all, look at the art style. I think that looks absolutely fantastic. The puzzles are definitely more plentiful and more tricky, and they do feel more a la Resident Evil if you played the early games back in the day, or the remakes. Everything else I said about Signalis applies here, from inventory management to exploration. Bit more action in certain places, and I just think it's done expertly. Give it a go. You might become as big a fan of this as I am. Now let's get away from inventory management and into pure bullet hell with Doom. This is Doom, I think it's 2016 this one came out, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm pretty sure Eternal's on here as well. These games are just as famous for being almost an impossible port to the Nintendo Switch, and supremely impressive that they run and look as good as they do on the Switch hardware as they are for being good games, and they are good games. I think you can get all of the Doom games, the classics and all the modern ones as well, on the Switch. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I just love Doom. It was one of the first horror-esque games I played, and one of the first first-person shooters I played back on the original PlayStation, and I've played every title since. And this one lives up to the name, and then some. Absolutely brilliant, fast-paced, non-stop action. How about a bit of comedy horror with Ghostbusters Remastered? Originally a 6th gen game, it's been on every generation since, and arguably it's never looked or played better than in this remastered version. First of all, for big Ghostbusters fans like I am, it's got the original voice cast, including Harold Ramis before he sadly passed away. And it is based on what was a perspective script for Ghostbusters 3, starring the original cast before all the remakes and stuff were done. The plot is as good as any of the films. You've got a bit of puzzle solving, lots of blasting with your proton packs, Venkman's quick wit, Egon's expertise, and Ray's pessimism. I love this game. I've played it through so many times I've lost count, and every single time I enjoy it that little bit more. Love Ghostbusters. The Sinking City. This game is based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, one of the godfathers of modern horror, and it is set in a fictional city called Oakmont in Massachusetts during the 1920s. You're a private investigator and a war veteran, and you're searching for clues to the cause of terrifying visions which have been plaguing you day and night. The investigation system is a huge part of this game. It's a good reason to go and explore and see everything that's going on. I've got to say, this is one of the darkest settings, as in like creepy and just all sorts of nefarious things going on from any of the NPCs that you're likely to come across in a game. Oh, and it relentlessly floods as well, so that makes navigation just that little bit more interesting. You'll be alright, you'll find a boat. Or swim. Little tip, stay observant as you go through each of the 7 districts. Honestly, you need to remember what you see. That will help you massively with the investigation system. Can I just say as well how good this game looks? I mean, graphically, very, very impressive. I know that's not everything in a game, but it's worth acknowledging when it's as good as this. Assemble an arsenal of tools, all period correct with some steampunk aspects. I thoroughly enjoyed the combat in this because there's a really good variety of supernatural foes for you to attempt to vanquish. And, oh yeah, make sure you don't go mad. You know what I mean when you play the game. And an absolute arcade classic, House of the Dead remake. Infamous game from the arcades. I used to play it a lot as a kid, and, well, I'm not going to hide the fact I still play it occasionally now if I'm lucky enough to come across it. You can play it with the motion controller, or just use a normal controller and the joysticks. It's up to you, as you shoot your way through the creepy manor, and if you've got someone to play with you at your side, it's even more fun. I was ever so pleased when I found this available to play at home. I always wanted a home version of this because it was, and still is, probably one of my favourite arcade games. You can even get like a plastic accessory to make the Joy-Con more like a gun, a bit like you used to get back in the Wii days, if you really want to. Absolute riot. It's not a long game, but it's a great one to play with your mates in a bit of couch co-op and endless replay value. And that completes my list of some of my favourite horror games I've played on the Nintendo Switch. Now over to you. What are some of yours? Have I missed any off? Do you like my picks? Love to hear from you as always. If you want to do the like and subscribe thing, don't fight the urge. And I'll see you soon. Ta-da for now.